It is, absolutely. And the strange thing is, you don't get tired on the engine. You are so driven by adrenaline that, you can shovel a ton of coal an hour very easily. The next day, of course, you're bedridden, but for that very short moment of time, you've got all the power in the world, and it's just fantastic. Very, very addictive stuff.
Yeah, I hear you. Like, I think Doug just mentioned too, we're nearly at the 25-minute mark, but this is great. I love this. I just mentioned to you when I was in the railways back in Australia, we still obviously have the historical trains running, but all the drivers back then in the 70s when I joined were ex-steam drivers. And what you just said about, that very small view out the cab, you've got your head out the window most of the time, looking down the track. But I used to think when they had those massive big steam engines, like we've got Heavy Harry, which was probably one of the heaviest steam engines in the world, not the heaviest, but one of them, and big freight train haulers. And you think, wow, can you imagine this was normal for these guys on wet, cold nights, rain pouring down, and they knew the tracks back to front. They had very little vision. And just what you said, I thought, man, it would be exciting. But to them, it just was the norm because there was nothing else they knew. And you think, what a load of skill those guys have driving those big machines, because they're alive. They're alive. Once you get them up to speed and being up in the cab running fast passenger trains, that high-speed passenger trains, that would have been better than a roller coaster for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. That really is. Doug, I reckon you probably throw a couple more questions in and then we'll have times up. But obviously just letting everyone know, this is just the first little series, and we'll be coming back to Andries in another month or so, hopefully when the weather's cooler and he can take us outside and take us on a bit of a run when he's got some the tourists there, and we can have a good look at the actual setup there. That'd be fantastic.
Definitely.
Yeah, thanks. Doug, see if we can throw a couple more in before we have times up.
Yeah, so Andries, how many people from different countries have come to the Winelands?
So we opened this railway in December 2019. Before this, I'd obviously built other railways and been involved in other operations. But this particular railway was opened 4 months before the planet shut down. So I think we're the only people that tried to build something unknowingly, of course, and then luckily survived it. I've had numerous visitors from overseas when it was allowed. And as the borders are now starting to open again, they are returning. So I can't really count on my one hand now, but we've had, I'd say, at least 12 or so international visitors, people that are actively coming out to come and see the trains specifically. And these are people that we've met through social media over the years. I've been to Britain to go and see how this stuff is run commercially, because when I started, it was still a bit of a joke to me. It was a toy train. How serious can it be? I mean, most of my mates still laugh at me for what I do, but I'm happy what I'm doing, and most of them hate their jobs, so that's fine. And their kids come here and spend their pocket money here, so that's good. But we've met the most fantastic people overseas. You mentioned guys like Jay Leno, for example. I would love to meet Jay Leno because he has a steam car in his collection that I would love to build one day. So we'll get to that. But I've had all sorts of interesting people here from very interesting backgrounds from everywhere. And whenever they come and visit us here, or we go and visit them there, it's the same sort of thing. You walk in as if you've known each other for years because we all speak the same language. We've all had the same experiences. And you can very quickly tell if a man is capable of handling a steam locomotive or not. And if they are, and they arrive here, they better be wearing dirty clothes because they will be going home covered in soot. Anybody that arrives here that can prove to me they can drive a steam engine within 5 minutes can have their pick of the shed and play with whatever they like. And amazing. When we go overseas, we get exactly the same treatment. If we visit tourist railways and so on, the guys there are generally very welcoming. And I've played with some very big, interesting locomotives in England, and I feel very privileged to have done so. But of course, it's always reciprocated.
Well, and how we met you too, just jumping in again, it was John Lyas, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Yeah, from Adelaide. Adelaide, I think he's in Australia. Is that correct? Yeah.
He's in Australia, that's correct. So we have a very interesting place in South Africa called Sandstone Estate, which is a very eccentric gentleman's collection of steam engines and buses and cars and military equipment and tractors by the hundreds.
Wow.
And before the world stopped, we used to have an event every 2 years where we literally fired up everything. Now, if you have a farm with a collection, the biggest collection of vintage machinery in the world, you need experts from all over the world to operate this stuff, because there are earth-moving equipment, for example, that 3 or 4 people on this planet knows how to drive. Wow. And often we got guys in from Australia, the States, Germany, Netherlands, I think we've had before, and we meet all the guys. And so we all go there, dress up like it's 1920, and then operate these vintage machines over a period of 10 days. It is absolutely fantastic. And of course, there we also meet guys like John Lyons. And of course, it stopped now. It should be back in action. We've got our first event now again in April, although it's a much smaller localized event. We don't have any international visitors, but hopefully when things return to normal and there's some certainty into the world where we're heading, then we'll be doing it again.
Oh, that's amazing. And we'd like to keep in touch with you, because it would be great to be able to bring, whoever's organizes that, bring him on the channel and share a bit about his story, because we love spreading this around the place. And we interviewed John on here, and he's incredible. Like his passion and his shed where he's got all his locomotives there and building, it's just amazing, just like yourself. So yeah, look, unfortunately, time's up, but fortunately, we're going to get you back on again. And when the weather cools down, we'd love to be out with you, and we'll have a little bit of a longer interview next time where we can have a look around, your railway. That'd be just so good. And maybe we can get into a little bit of a discussion. It's just how on earth you became this amazing engineer building these trains like that. Just that's
by being, what is it, relentless and unstoppable, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
And not taking no for an answer. And when if anyone says it can't be done, I'll bloody well show you it can be done.
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because we would love to get you on the other channel, Relentless, because that channel is simply about, it's not always, the darkest stories of life and how people have got through that. It's also about exactly what you just said. People have got a passion and just refuse to give up on it, and just keep it going. So this is great. We'd love to get you on there as well and talk more about what drove you, or what helped keep you moving forward and not giving up. So that'd be great.
Perfect. I'm going.
Yeah. Thanks, mate. Well, look, I'm sure you're going to go outside and do a bit of sunbathing now with you.
No, thank you. I think I'll stay inside tonight and do some drawing work instead.
Well, thanks, mate. Really appreciate it. So good to talk to you, and I look forward to the next couple of interviews, one on Relentless, and again, getting outside with you and checking out this amazing setup you've got there with Winelands Railway.
For sure. I'll show you around.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Doug, back to you to close us out.
All right, everyone. We'd like to thank Andries for appearing on the channel, and we'll see you next week for the next Tales from the Rails.